Good to have you back. This film is from one of my favourite genres, film noir, and it includes a number of interesting twists on the usual storyline. It features a great central performance from renowned character actor Edmund O'Brien, and it is beautifully photographed in black and white. The film is 1950s D.O.A, or Dead on Arrival. The film has a great opening hook, perhaps the best in all of cinema. A man walks into a police station to report a murder, his own.
I want to report a murder. Sit down. Where was this murder committed? San Francisco, last night. Who was murdered? I was.
The film was also novel for its approach to the femme fatale, or the dangerous woman. Instead of one, there are many potentially dangerous women, and the protagonist, Frank Bigelow, is brought unstuck by his wandering eye. This film looks fantastic because of the influence of the director, Rudolph Maté. Rudolph was one of the most respected cinematographers in the industry. He began working in Hungary as an assistant cameraman for Alexander Korda and later worked throughout Europe with noted cameraman Karl Freund and for directors such as Carl Theodor Dreyer and Erich Pommer. After working as a cinematographer on Dreyer's The Passion of Joan of Arc in 1928, Maté was soon working on some of Europe's most prestigious films, cementing his reputation as one of the continent's premier cinematographers. Hollywood came calling in 1935, and Maté shot films there for the next 12 years, working for directors like Alfred Hitchcock, Orson Welles, and Ernst Lubitsch before turning to directing in 1947. Given his background, the films he directed always looked fabulous, and this film was no exception. And of all the films he directed, D.O.A has by far the best reputation. The film has a number of great location shots. On the southwest corner of Broadway and 3rd Street in downtown Los Angeles, the $1 Million Theatre stood directly across the street from the Bradbury Building, an iconic office building that was the scene of numerous movie shoots, among them great films such as Double Indemnity, Chinatown, and Blade Runner. The director liberally used Broadway and the Bradbury Building during location shooting and included the $1 Million Theatre's blazing marquee in the background of some shots. The scene in which Frank Bigelow runs in a panic along Market Street between 4th and 6th Streets in San Francisco, after learning he's been poisoned, is called a stolen shot. It's a shot where the pedestrians walking along the footpath had no idea a movie was being made and had no warning that Edmund O'Brien would be ploughing through them. This gives the sequence a sense of realism and dread. The Bop Jazz Band playing at the Fisherman's Club while O'Brien's glass is being spiked was filmed on a Los Angeles soundstage after principal photography had been completed. It's a great sequence that includes a number of well-known jazz musicians, including James Von Streeter on saxophone, Shifty Henry on bass, Al Cake Wishard on drums, Ray LaRue on piano, and Teddy Buckner on trumpet. Now, when we're talking music, many people will recognise the name of the film's composer, Dmitri Tiomkin. Tiomkin was much in demand and worked on films that included Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder, I Confess, and Shadow of a Doubt. He worked for Fred Zinnemann on films such as High Noon, The Sundowners, and The Old Man and the Sea. He worked with Frank Capra on films such as Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, It's a Wonderful Life, Lost Horizon, and Meet John Doe. And he worked with Howard Hawks on Only Angels Have Wings, Rio Bravo, and Red River. According to some sources, the idea for the film's unusual storyline was taken from the German film Looking for His Murderer from 1931. That film was based on a play co-written by Billy Wilder. However, D.O.A is not a remake. Although there is a similarity in the basic premise, the two stories are fundamentally different. Both the story and the screenplay are credited to Russell Rouse and Clarence Green, writers who worked on a number of respectable film noirs, low-budget but compelling films such as The Thief, for which the writing was nominated for a Golden Globe, and The Well, for which their screenplay was nominated for an Oscar. Initial reviews were lukewarm, describing the film as a fairly obvious and plodding recital, involving crime, passion, stolen iridium, gangland beatings, and one man's innocent bewilderment upon being caught up in a web of circumstances that marks him for death. Several decades later, a trend of more positive reviews began. It was said that one of the film's many ironies is that Bigelow's last desperate search involves him in his life more forcefully than he had ever been before. Tracking down his killer just before he dies, discovering the reason for his death, turns out to be the triumph of his life. It was more recently described as a high-concept movie before its time. The BBC's David Wood said that it was one of the most accomplished innovative and downright twisted entrance into the film noir genre. And Leonard Maltin's movie guide gave D.O.A 3.5 stars out of 4. In 2001, the American Film Institute included the film in its list of the 400 most heart-pounding American films of all time. In 2004, D.O.A was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The original copyright holder neglected to renew their rights, which resulted in the film falling into the public domain. Again, this means that finding a good quality copy can be quite a challenge. So why watch this film? I think it's a beautifully photographed film noir that takes several fresh and interesting twists on the genre, and it's backed up by a compelling performance by Edward O'Brien. I think it's a film that will surprise you. Now, if you want to give it a go, again, what I suggest you do is go to our website, find the link, click on it, watch the film, see what you think, and as always, we'd love you to come back, let other people know what your thoughts are, and whether you'd recommend them to watch the film also. And then we'll see you again in the not too distant future for another classic films review. See you later.